This is a workout. Welcome to episode 3 of False Starts at Home. We need to make one of those little like false starts at home. You know,
I could do it when we were young. When I was a kid, I used to practice the monster truck. You know, Sunday, the biggest monster truck event of the year.
We've got Gravedigger. Get seats half price.
What happened to that, you know? Okay, anyway.
Truck rally at the Silverdome. Okay, I'm Dan Moranville.
I'm Tim Moranville.
And we're brothers, the Moranville Brothers, here for a podcast about sports and society and really anything else that comes to our mind or wherever rabbit trails we trail off onto.
Yeah.
So the game plan for today.
Welcome into all 5 of our subscribers.
Yes, exactly. We're
two
getting
of
those.
Whom are us. So
We're getting.
You know.
I have multiple YouTube accounts, so I don't know how many I've subscribed. So
okay.
Could be.
See, I have multiple ones too, but I've only subscribed with one. But
I don't even think Amy has subscribed. I think it's like Mom, Alicia, you, me, and me again. I think I'm not sure. So.
Wow. Okay. We're getting there though.
You got to start somewhere.
We got a ton of views on our shorts last week. So
yeah, we're over 1,000.
Right.
I was literally just Saturday morning, just making shorts, just going through our 3-hour episode. And I was like, this will be good. And just posting them up. So our game plan for today, got several topics in the leadoff here. We're going to talk about Tim's trip to Chicago.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit about some bladder issues and some movies, some hockey news, all kinds of stuff there. And then you got to stick around for our main event because we're going to talk about why do we hate the greats? Why do we hate the greats? So first up, Tim, welcome back. It was nice to have a week off.
It was.
You know, after our exhausting 2-week run of False Starts at Home.
I thought it was a perfect time to take a break.
It was great. You got to have
right after the second episode.
It's like when you get hired at a new job and you're like, oh, when can I use my PTO?
Yeah, or I used to get this all the time at the chapel when I was managing the photography and video department. You like go to hire somebody and they'd be like, I can't really work this week or this week because I have a vacation plan. And I'm like, but you literally said you could start next week.
Right.
And then you want the week after that off. Like, how's this going to work? Because you're not going to get paid like for those weeks that you're off because you just started. You don't have PTO, like, yeah.
This is not France.
It made it kind of difficult to hire people because you're like, do I really want to hire somebody I can't schedule for like the first week?
I always ask people, I think in the interview, if they've got any like upcoming time off in the next like 3 months.
Yeah.
I ask again, like in orientation, like, okay, any time off we got to know about. So that's always, trying to cover the bases there. So you were in Chicago. You had your time off. You were in
Chicago.
You were there a lot longer than I thought you were going to be. I thought you were just going up for the game and coming right back. But
well, we thought about it, and then we thought, you know what? We just celebrated 20 years. We might as well spend a couple extra days in Chicago and kind of make a little anniversary trip out of it.
Okay.
So yeah, we went up Monday, came back on Friday night. We took the train for the first time, Amtrak. That was an experience. It was an interesting experience. Like I highly recommend it. Very expensive. Not expensive for us to go from here to Chicago. Well, actually, we went from Bryan, Ohio to Chicago. But like if you were to take Amtrak on a vacation to go like across country, it would be more expensive than flying. Because you have to get like the sleeper car if you want to be able to sleep in a comfortable position.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, I think it cost us like less than $200 round trip for both of us.
Yeah.
Which you can't even fly there. And it's about a 4-hour trip.
4 hour. Okay.
3.5, 4 hours, something like that. Which is faster than driving. And you get in at Union Station, Chicago, which is right down near all the city bus and train lines anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My one gripe about Union Station is that there's not an L stop there.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the biggest oversight I think of them, like with the whole transit system. Because if they had that, it's like there is the massive bus depot right across the street, so you can literally go anywhere.
You can
the
catch
L's like,
a bus anywhere, but the L would have been a better, or subway, whatever. But only complaint, didn't really realize that Lollapalooza started on Thursday. So we got to spend our last 2 days in Chicago with the Lolla crowd.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was still a thing, to be honest. I'm not,
it's a corporate
I'm not trying to sound old.
Yeah.
But I remember when Lollapalooza was a tour.
Yeah. It started as a Chicago thing, and then it became a tour. Yeah. And then it became back just to a Chicago thing. Because I think they might have canceled it for a couple of years, like in the early 2010s or something like that.
I had to brush up on the history of it again because I remember. No, it was originally a tour.
It was originally a tour.
Yes, it was originally a tour. It was supposed to be a farewell tour for, I can't remember what band he was in. Anyway, the guy who founded it, it was like their band was basically going into retirement. And so they did this tour like all over the U.S. and called it Lollapalooza, and they had like a bunch of bands and Ferris wheels and made it a carnival thing, whatever. And then eventually it like they did go to Chicago for just like a 1 day thing. Or not a 1 day, a 1 weekend thing. Then it stopped for a few years. Then when it restarted, they tried to do the tour thing and it didn't work. So they brought it back to Chicago. And now they've signed like a decade-long contract with the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
So it just sucks that whoever at the Premier League did the scheduling didn't,
it is
take
pretty
that
much
into
like,
account.
Yeah, Chicago's a big city and it can handle a lot of events all at once. But it's also like when you're packing Grant Park with like 300,000 people, or how many ever go to Lolla? I think it's somewhere around there.
Too many.
And then you've got Soldier Field like right there.
Yeah.
It's like you can't. There's just a little. It's like that's a little too much.
Yeah, and that was the problem. Is like Soldier Field is not too far from Grant Park. We stayed at a hotel across the street from Grant Park, but they have Grant Park and all the roads around it closed down, so you can't even walk through Grant Park to get anywhere. So it's just kind of a pain in the ass to get to where we needed to be. Because even the buses, the traffic, the road closures, all that kind of stuff. We made it around. We had a good time. Soldier Field's a beautiful venue. I don't know why the Bears are dissatisfied with it, but I thought it was a nice place. Yeah, money.
Got to get those tax breaks. Got to get those sweet-ass tax breaks.
For charging $9 for a bottle of water, I don't think they should be hurting for money. They like $8 or $9 for a slice of pizza. Like we didn't eat because I kid you not, 2 beers, 16-ounce beers in a can, $40.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I should have pre-gamed with the Lolla crowd. We would have saved some money, but
tripping on acid while
no, I don't think you want to do that. No, it was a great time though. We had we sat in the Everton supporter section, so we had a lot of fellow Evertonians around us. People brought banners, signs. The Premier League did a great job of trying to get American fans to kind of feel like they were at the actual English venue. We sang the team songs and they did like the team intros and warm-ups and stuff like that, much like they would at the actual Premier League game. Awesome. So that was fun.
Who did they play?
Everton played West Ham. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
West Ham.
So did they do the same thing for West Ham too?
So yeah. So what they did was, I don't really know which team was the home team because I don't think it really mattered.
Right.
But basically, so they did the Everton thing first. And because Everton's one of the founding members of the Football Association and the Premier League, so we had the honors of going first. So they did a little bit of history, trivia about the club. And then we sang our team song. And then they did West Ham, and they did just like, not as big of a scale, because I don't know if you've ever seen a West Ham match.
No.
So pregame at London Stadium, where West Ham plays, they have massive bubble machines on the sidelines, and they blow bubbles like to practically fill the air in the stadium, like with bubbles.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I always wondered why, and now I know why. So
They explain this?
they explained this, yes,
Okay.
because I was I've seen it, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, who, did somebody who just one day was like, man, these guys suck so bad, we might as well just start blowing bubbles here on the sideline to keep the fans engaged. So they had a player whose nickname was Bubbles.
Okay.
Because football's not as badass as hockey, so Bubbles would be an okay nickname.
Okay.
So they had a player whose nickname was Bubbles, and their team song is called "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles," and it's about blowing bubbles. And
was Bubbles like their best of all time?
He was like their elite forward at the time, I guess.
Okay.
Premier strikers.
Man, English football is a totally different culture.
It's a totally different
that's like
culture.
a foreign. That's
And
interesting.
And then the nightcap match was Man United versus Bournemouth.
Okay.
And so they did which we stayed. I'm like, we paid for the ticket. We might as well stay for the game.
Yeah. Was it just back to back? You didn't have a break? Like you couldn't leave?
No, there was a break. There was like an hour
okay.
Between. You couldn't leave. Like once you left the stadium, you're out.
Oh, okay.
But there's enough to do in the concourses there, and they had merch shops and stuff like
cool.
that. But so Manchester United, their song is "Take Me Home, Country Road" by John Denver.
Interesting.
That's it.
Manchester
United.
Their song is
"Take
Western
Me Home,
Virginia,
Country Road." They changed the lyrics in the chorus to be about Manchester and Old Trafford, which is their stadium. But that's it. The whole rest of the song was the regular,
get your own song.
Get your own song. But I mean, Manchester.
You have the Beatles.
No,
you don't need our. You don't need our.
No,
I guess.
No.
Yeah.
The Beatles are from Liverpool, man.
That's fair. But they've got what? They've got fucking Beck and Oasis and Elton John.
But, I mean, you walk out to
Wonderwall?
Wonderwall. You can't walk out to Wonderwall.
You could walk out to Rocket Man. Rocket Man.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah.
Or The Bitch Is Back, or Honky Cat, or any of Elton's greatest hits.
I know you're a big Elton fan.
I love Elton John, dude. I know them all. I have so much respect and love for Elton John.
That's awesome.
And I'm serious.
No, I know.
My kids this school year are going to be like, who the hell is this guy? Like, he makes us listen to Elton John. Like, I got, while we were back to school shopping, I found these. So we were looking at stuff, and how kids are, oh, that's a girl color, that's a boy color. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get pink scissors and, girl color stuff for my desk,
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law actually found me these scissors that are bright pink, and they have rhinestones in the handles.
Oh, sick.
That is so that. Elton John. It's amazing.
Yes.
That was a rabbit trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, great time. We scored the first goal, then they scored 2 goals, and we lost. But we didn't have our best squad on the field. I hope anyway, because if that was the best we could do, it's gonna be a long season. No, our number 1 goalkeeper was sitting out, just because it's preseason and give the other guys a chance. It's kind of like preseason NFL. Like,
yeah, you don't want to.
You're not gonna put your number one line in the whole time. So we had our captain James Tarkowski. He got injured toward the end of last season. Tore a hamstring, and had surgery. But he was able to come on for the last 20 minutes of the match. So that was really cool. Like to see him actually, and he was able to run and keep up with the guys on the field. So that was nice.
After they've all played for 70 minutes.
Well, he's got to start somewhere. I mean, he hasn't.
That's right. That's true.
Hasn't been able to play at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, cool. That's awesome. Did you have any expensive steaks while you're in Chicago?
No.
What's the best place you ate? You mentioned Devil Dogs.
Oof. Devil Dogs.
I remember Devil Dogs, but I don't.
That might have been the best. That might have been the best place we ate. Really? The worst. Well, we'll talk about the worst thing later.
Okay. Little teaser for the 2-minute warning. Okay.
But this week. Yeah, and we talked about sports brings us together. So after the match, it started. We didn't stay for the whole second match because it had rained most of the day. It was nice and clear, sunny skies for our match. And then maybe 5 minutes into the second match, it started pouring again. And I was just like, I'm not gonna sit in the rain to watch Man U clearly run away with this thing because that's what the refs wanted. So we left. We went back to our hotel. Went to the bar to grab some drinks and met some other Everton fans. Had some nice conversations. So
very cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome. Very cool. we need t-shirts. It's like sports brings us together because you always say that. I like that. We'll make some branded shirts. We need a merch shop. We
can do that.
Yeah. Mom and Alicia will go.
Mom and Alicia will go buy one. Yeah.
Well, so I wanted to get your help and our listeners, our viewers' help choosing a Premier League team, because I've decided, okay, you know what? You're talking about the Premier League enough. You're talking about Everton enough. That I need to choose a team, and the season's coming up here. I know it's starting in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So let me walk you through my thought process to this point, because so a few years ago I had chosen Leicester City.
Yeah.
They got relegated. They came back. They got relegated again.
Okay. Before we go too far though.
Okay.
Is this not just Premier League, but if they get relegated? You'll still follow. I'll stick with them. You'll stick with them
from this
time?
point. From this point, I'll stick with them. This is
like a reset. This is
it's a reset.
Dan gets into British football 2.0.
Totally.
Okay, because Everton, I was scared 2 seasons ago. I was like, oh crap! I got to figure out how to watch the championship on, and I don't know if you can even watch the championship on TV.
You can. You can. I'm pretty sure it's just as easy as, or a couple of years ago it was just as easy as Premier League.
Yeah. So I don't want you being like, oh, they got relegated, I'm not going to be a fan anymore. It'd be like being a Browns fan and they're the Browns and you're just like, well, I can't be a fan anymore. You would have never been a fan though at that point. Exactly. Okay. So criteria.
So criteria are, well, so here's the thing. When I chose Leicester City, I was kind of thinking, okay, somewhere in the middle of the table. I didn't want to go front runner. I also didn't want to choose a team that was going to be relegated. And then whoops, that happened. So I'm pretty open, but this time I'm like, okay, I'm going to do some thought work here, I'm going to choose a team. So especially now that all of my North American sports, my favorite teams, since I've switched from the Steelers to the Lions, all of my North American sports are Detroit. So it's like, okay. So I'm looking up what UK city is most similar to Detroit. And a lot of the answers, people were saying Birmingham not Birmingham, Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Birmingham. So I was like, okay, let me read a little bit about Birmingham. And I've heard that Liverpool is very similar to Detroit, also very like manufacturing, that sort of thing. It's like a port city, so it's there's a lot of trade and shipping that goes through there and whatnot. I've heard similar things about Manchester, but I'm gonna stay with the Manchester teams because that feels like it's run its course.
Yeah.
So I was looking around. Okay, what are the teams in Birmingham? Well, there's Birmingham City, which is not in the Premier League.
No.
I think they're in the second tier, but they're like
division or third division. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very solidly set there.
Yeah.
There is Aston Villa.
Okay.
So they are in I forget what the Villa Park.
Yeah, Villa Park is where they
Okay. Play. So I was like, okay, I'm looking into them. Pretty interesting. Here's the pros for Aston Villa. Okay. Pros for Aston Villa. For a few years ago, for like 2 or 3 seasons, they actually donated their main front of kit sponsor to a children's hospice. Like just donated this, and that's like the biggest moneymaker as far as the sponsorships go. So I was like, okay, I like that. Revenue. Yeah, I love that they did that. And so that was really cool to me. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other pros. They have a cool logo. Logo's important, you know. It's like it's like the lion.
The lion with his claws up and
and it's got like a nice blue and a nice like a burgundy red kind of thing. So those are cool. It's always important. Claret. Yep, there you go. For the fancy listeners.
Well, you have to like translate it into British English.
Okay.
It's like you can't just call it burgundy.
Right. Okay.
Specific shade, claret. You know.
Claret. Okay. Well, now I know. So then I'm trying to think. Okay, you know, what was the other team I was looking at? I did look at Liverpool. So I was like, okay, let me look at. You know, I like the Beatles a lot. I enjoy the Beatles music. So I was thinking, what teams are in Liverpool? And then I realized Everton's in Liverpool. And I was like, well, I can't just choose Tim's team because that's no fun. Like, if we're just cheering for the same team, that's not going to be, you know, like half of this is like I got to choose a competing team. And then I realized Liverpool and Everton have like a ridiculous rivalry. Of course they do because they're like 2 kilometers apart.
Yeah. Even closer now that we got our new stadium.
Okay, so they're like right next door, and I'm like, go ahead.
And Liverpool is little brother, so it kind of would be funny if you did end up choosing Liverpool.
Okay.
So originally Everton was called St. Domingos, and they played their matches at Anfield. They played their matches. No, they played their matches in Everton. Liverpool split off from. No, am I getting it backward? Anyway, yeah, Liverpool did split off.
Story straight.
Liverpool did split off from Everton, and started playing their games at Anfield.
Okay.
And so they're little brother.
Okay. So that would kind of
Liverpool soccer teams, football teams.
I'm trying to look through my Wikipedia history because I was looking through all these, and it's kind of late at night, and I was like, I'm gonna get these all mixed up and not know who's who.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so you got Aston Villa.
So I got Aston Villa, Birmingham. Okay, I got. I was looking at Liverpool. I also like the fact that Liverpool is like, you'll never walk alone. That's a cool thing, you know. They got the Pink Floyd thing going on, so that's pretty cool. And then the other Birmingham adjacent team is the Wolves, the Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolverhampton Wolves.
Who I actually almost chose before I chose Leicester City, just because, like, look at this. Like, their logo is so cool.
Yeah.
It's such a cool logo, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I was going through that, and I couldn't really decide. I was trying to think, like, okay, how would I, like, you know, how can I make this more interesting? I'm a huge fan of Edward Elgar. Do you know Edward Elgar?
Never
A composer, British composer.
Okay.
Like late 18th century, late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't know
so
which way to say that.
19th century.
19th and 20th century, yeah.
20th, yeah.
Wrote Pomp and Circumstance. You might know from having graduated.
See, my favorite English composer is Elton John, so...
Okay. We need an Elton John counter.
About as far back as I'm going to go on.
Yeah. So Edward Elgar wrote Pomp and Circumstance, which is awesome. He wrote this piece called Variations on a Theme. A lot of people call it Enigma because he wrote Enigma on it. And he basically wrote like the same like theme, but he wrote like, I don't know, I think it's like 12 different versions of it. And he named the different versions after his friends because he wrote, this is like so badass. He wrote each variation based on what he thought if his friend was, he wrote this out. If they were ass enough, if they were a big enough ass to have been a composer, this is what they would have composed. And so he wrote these themes out.
Dude, go listen. A guy like that had 12 friends to write about.
He's very sarcastic and very humorous.
Well, I'm very sarcastic and I don't have 12 friends. That's why I'm like kind of, like, are we?
You guys would get along. Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe I should.
So I was thinking, okay. So I was looking up. I was like, all right, where's Edward Elgar from? Like, what team would he be a fan of? Okay, this is like the English person that I know. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay. So I'm reading through and I'm like, oh, he's from like southwest of Birmingham.
Okay.
He's from Worcester. So I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. I get to the end of the article. He's a Wolverhampton fan.
He's a Wolverhampton fan.
After his wife passed away, he spent his like later years like basically just going to their matches and stuff and like being a huge football fan. And I'm pretty sure their song has to do something with him. Let me look and see so I can be right. No, can't find it. Can't find it quick enough. But anyways, so I was thinking, okay, so now I'm kind of, and so, okay, cons with Aston Villa, their fan base is apparently like 98% white. Wikipedia like made this a point, and I was like,
this is
anything that's like 98% white gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like there's something wrong. Like there's something going on here. And it's in an area that's like 45% like immigrant population or something like that, from what I was reading. So I'm like, this is a little strange that your fan base is like to get that pure white is a little like you're doing something. You're actively trying. You're I don't know.
It's not the club's
It scares
fault.
me. That scares me. Yeah, but I don't want to be associated with that shit.
I mean, it's Britain. I'm sure they're not,
Sure they're not racist.
walking around with torches or anything, It's not like Britain has a history of oppressing people who aren't white.
Hold on. Let me pull up a couple articles.
The Articles of Confederation. Every Declaration of Independence in the history of the world.
Yeah, right. I'll start listing the countries that have declared independence from you.
So
and then go from there.
So was Aston Villa like King George III's team or something? Like,
well, that's a good question. I don't know.
Who would King? Well, they didn't. I don't think they really had football back then because they didn't have time for football.
Yeah,
because they were too busy trying to conquer the rest of the world or defend their territory that they had conquered.
Right.
I'm surprised you wouldn't, being the socialist you are, go for Robin Hood's team, Nottingham Forest.
Ooh, that didn't even cross my mind. Let's look up Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
What's the deal with that?
They actually, so they got promoted was it 2 seasons ago or just last season? They finished in the top 6 last season.
Okay.
After making a run, they almost they were in the top 3 for a good chunk of the season. So they're a good up and coming club. I believe they'll be playing in the Champions League this year. Let me look that up.
Okay. Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham
Historically
Forest.
the nickname of the Reds. So there you
Yeah.
go. More socialism.
Oh, they finished
The Tricky Trees.
11. Oh, that's week 1. My bad.
I don't know if I can root for a team whose nickname is the Tricky Trees.
The Tricky Trees.
Yeah, apparently. Where is Notts County? Where the hell is this?
I don't know.
Oh, Leicester City were widely considered to be Forest's main East Midlands rivals. So that's.
Oh, sorry, they finished 7th, so just out of the European spots, but they did make it to the UEFA Conference League.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've got.
They won half their matches last year.
So I'm kind of between basically like I've kind of ruled out Aston Villa.
Okay.
So I'll have to look into this Nottingham Forest, but I'm kind of between. So we'll add this to the mix.
Okay.
And if anybody comments on any of the videos or podcasts or anything, wherever it's posted, we'll see what people say. Chime in. So I'm kind of between. I think the front runner is Wolverhampton.
Okay. Solid choice.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
And then Liverpool, the little brother team, which would be kind of funny. That would be pretty funny to be the little brother team to Everton, and just have that rivalry.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw Nottingham Forest in there, just to see. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Burnley. So I was doing a little research. Burnley is partly owned by J.J. Watt. And also the Detroit Tourism Board is one of their sponsors.
Okay. Let's throw Burnley into the mix.
If you want to have a Detroit, Detroit connection, is visit Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Burnley,
Nottingham
Wolverhampton.
Forest, and Wolverhampton. All right.
Okay. All right. So those are the 4. Those are the 4 in play. We'll see.
Sounds good.
I will have decided.
You will have decided by next week. All right.
Yes, I have to decide by next week.
Good.
So.
Good luck choosing.
Thank you.
Liverpool are the defending champions, so
See, that was another thing. I was like, I don't want to just use like the top of the table. Like, I can't do that. So, anyways, well, I have some special birthday news.
Yours is coming up, but more importantly.
Well, mine is coming up at the end of this month. Yes, so I am eligible already to run for president, which is great. So anybody out there listening, go ahead and write me in. So somebody very dear to my life, their birthday is today, the day we're recording here. And I want to wish a very special birthday, happy birthday to Barack Obama. Just kidding. It is Obama's birthday. But It's my wife Amy's birthday, yeah.
It's okay.
So happy birthday to my wife.
Happy birthday to Barack Hussein Obama.
I always think it's hilarious that she shares a birthday with Barack. That's hilarious. Okay, well, moving on to our next thing here. I had a reason for putting this on. I put this in here a couple days ago.
Did you think I had anything to do with it because I was in Chicago when
I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
Now I'm a little suspicious now I'm a little suspicious since you brought it up like that. Apparently, at a WNBA game in Chicago, there was a sex toy thrown on the court during the game.
Why?
That's a very good question.
Guys, we talked about this last week. Stop being sexist about women's sports.
We didn't talk about this specifically.
Well, we didn't. Fair. Yes, to be fair, yes, we didn't say don't throw a dildo on the court. But now I am saying don't throw a dildo on the court. Okay,
we don't know that it was a dildo.
Okay, vibrate any sex toy. If you go to Lion's Den before the game, You keep that bag in your trunk. Are we clear, gentlemen?
The article I read just said sex toy, so we have no idea. But yeah, good idea to not bring that into the arena. It's kind of funny.
How do they get it in? Because like you're screened. Like I don't know if you've been to an arena recently, but they've changed the way they screen it now. It's got some like magnetometer thing. Every time I go in,
like the TSA kind of deal.
Yeah, but my glasses case sets it off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'll carry my glasses case with me, and they'll be like, "You set the thing off. Can we search you?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." I actually discovered this at the zoo, because the Toledo Zoo is a hotbed of terrorist threat activity.
Apparently, wow.
So they screen everybody. And I beeped on the way in, and he was like, "Whoa, dude. We can't let you go see otters if you're beeping." And so he had to search. But yeah, my glasses case, so apparently it has magnets in it that keep it closed, and that sets off the thing.
Interesting.
And also because it covers something, they can't see what's inside of the thing. Like it's a glasses case. Come on, guys.
Jeez. Wow.
But yeah, so that sets it off a lot. Like all week in Chicago last week, it was like everywhere we went that had security, I was just had my glasses case in my hand, like ready.
For
like
sure.
It's this, just dude.
And with Chicago, dude, downtown, man, that's
did you
like
keep that. Like, where did you store that?
Yeah, where'd you bring it in? Because I'm assuming they're playing at the United Center, right?
No, the Sky don't play at the United Center. They play. I can't remember it's a smaller arena.
It's the one that's like in the south.
Yeah, I think so.
Wintrust, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Wintrust. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Gotcha.
Maybe security's loose.
Apparently. Well, we don't want to say that. Then somebody's gonna, do something stupid.
Well, they've already done something stupid.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So
one of the players was apparently laughing about it. In the article that I read, she was just like, "What is this? This is
what are you gonna do?" I mean,
you are, but it is also like that's a safety risk also because you're like chucking something that I'm assuming has got some weight on it. Yeah.
Did they provide measurements like?
I don't know the mass of the object, but I don't know. Probably made a thud when it hit the floor. I'm just saying. So let's just not do this. Let's not throw sex toys on the court or the field.
Nobody's ever done that at a men's game that I know of. Like
that's very true.
Like
beers have been thrown.
Yeah, I've never seen like.
But it does feel targeted
at a male sporting event. Throw something like that. Like
right.
Sometimes I think they should throw things like that.
Yeah.
But again, we're trying to get away from being sexist. So let's not throw things like that at sporting events, whether it's men or women.
Yeah. Usually the penalty for like throwing something on the playing surface would be like lifetime banishment from the facility.
Yeah.
So like I've heard even like the Red Wings, the big Red Wings tradition has thrown an octopus.
Yeah.
I've heard that even at home games, people who throw the octopus get kicked out and put on a list. Like you can't buy tickets, which seems crazy to me.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Because at Dodger Stadium, it says no beach balls, but we bring beach balls into every game. We play with them in the outfield. Like we're constantly tossing beach balls around. And then inevitably some security guard with a stick up his ass pops it. We all boo him. And then somebody else blows up another one and we get it going again. But none of us ever get kicked out. Like I've yet to go to a Dodgers game where they're like, dude, you snuck a beach ball in. Like,
and do they ever fall on the?
Oh yeah, sometimes they end up on the field. Yeah,
okay.
Like.
But what's the beach ball gonna do?
It's classic. Like it's classic LA. If you see an umpire like call a stoppage real quick, he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" The home plate umpire. Whoa, whoa, stop! Don't throw the ball. There's probably a beach ball in the outfield.
Okay.
There's a good chance there is a beach ball in the outfield.
Yeah. But you're talking about like a very light very large visible object
and fun.
and
It's a
fun.
beach ball.
Yeah, and fun. Yeah. So
Why
so
are we
don't,
don't throw stupid stuff? What do they?
Yeah.
So what do they do at Nashville when they throw that catfish out? Or in
I don't know. I'm
Florida,
assuming the same thing.
You know, they do the rat in
The
Florida.
rats, you can't kick everybody out with the rats. And those
then
things I've heard do hurt. Like you getting pelted
they're
with like a rubber
plastic,
rat.
yeah,
Like,
or rubber, whatever. And in Vegas, a couple of years ago, somebody started it's called the Victory Flamingo. I don't know how it started. Well, I do know how it started because I read the article. Everybody's trying to be like Detroit. You know, you guys were the original, like, let's throw things onto the ice because why not?
Yep.
So apparently this Vegas fan, we were on a losing streak. We were like third or fourth place in the Pacific Division, which for us is pretty unacceptable. Again, spoiled, entitled VGK fan.
Oh yeah.
So, but apparently, so this guy snuck in like a flamingo, like one of those yard flamingos, to the game.
Like the hard plastic.
No. Like, so it's like
with the like
16-inch
spike on it.
No, not like that. I mean, I don't know how he would have gotten that one in. So it's like yay big, right? Like maybe 18-inch. The small lawn. Okay. And then after they won, he ended up throwing that onto the ice, and then it, like, sparked a winning streak, and so it's like continued.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think they're kicking people out of T-Mobile or being like, you can't come in, because I think most of the fans now that do it, I think it's an inflatable one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but I mean, you shouldn't really throw things onto playing surfaces in general.
While the play is happening.
Happening. Hat trick, okay. You know, you have to do that. That is
right.
Like part of the laws of the game. You know, it says it on your ticket. If your team, if a player scores a hat trick, you throw your hat onto the ice.
Does it really?
No, I don't know, but
I was gonna say, wow.
It should.
Fine print more.
I mean,
it should. Yeah, I have a legal right to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's interesting. That's interesting. What because like you can throw stuff at the end of a series. You know, you win the series, you win the playoff series, throw stuff on the field. Yeah, just don't throw sex toys. That's just kind of weird. Kind of a weird idea. It's just generally a weird thing to do. Also.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next up, Primetime has got a new bladder. And by new bladder, I mean they literally built a bladder out of his small intestine. Did you read this article? I put this in here. Okay.
I saw that you put it in there.
It's pretty short. Go ahead and read it.
I had a different take. I had a different take when I saw the headline that you put in there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm interested to hear that. So Deion Sanders, two-time Super Bowl champion Deion Sanders, coach of the University of Colorado, I don't know what they are.
Buffaloes.
Storm and Bisons or something. Underwent a surgery called neo-bladder reconstruction, which actually uses like his own small intestine tissue, and they like cut out the bladder, like toss that, like just chuck that in the garbage. He had like a bladder cancer, like some kind of bladder cancer.
I would hope this wasn't done for like.
No, yeah, this is not like
you know,
like I just feel like a little too much, you know.
Got too big of a bladder. I need a smaller, you know.
Yeah, no, this is not a cosmetic surgery. This is a
So
he and apparently bladder cancer is pretty aggressive. So it's one of those things where it's like you discover it, you gotta be like on it pretty quick, whatever. I mean, I'm assuming all cancer is pretty much like that, but so they cut out the bladder, they take part of the end of the intestine, basically just like smush it out flat. The way I pictured this when I was like reading the articles, like fruit roll up, like how you just like stretch this bad boy out. Okay. And then they apparently like,
Now
fold
I
it
can
all
never
up
eat
and
a
stuff.
Fruit Roll-Up again. Thanks, man.
You shouldn't be eating those anyways. It's disgusting. So they basically make a whole new bladder out of it, reconnect everything because you gotta connect stuff, the exit from the bladder. So super, super cool. A couple of very cool things about this. One, the surgery is performed under a laparoscopic camera. Am I saying that right? Laparoscopic. So it only you don't have to tear open the abdomen or whatever. Where's the bladder? That's in the abdomen, right?
It's in your abdomen, yeah.
So it only requires very small incisions. So you don't have this huge risk of infection and all this kind of stuff. So really cool. Doesn't require obviously a new artificial anything. So there's not a huge need for immunosuppressants because your body's not going to reject this tissue. It's your tissue, it's going to heal and stuff like that. But a reconstructed bladder does not signal to the brain when it's time to pee.
Okay, that's what I was just going to ask. It's so how they can't hook up nerves to be like, yo, dude, I'm full. I got to go. So he walked around with a catheter the rest of his life?
You know what? This is new to me. This is news to me because I did not know the bladder was the part that signaled to your brain in the first place. So I'm
there's
learning
nerves.
all kinds of stuff.
There's nerves inside. It's like a float valve inside your toilet.
Okay, now you speak my language.
In your toilet tank, you know how you got the thing that says, okay, the tank's full.
All right.
So it stops filling water, and it's kind of the opposite of that. It says, hey, tank's full, get rid of it. And then you go pee. And if you ask our sister, she can tell you, because she's a nurse, she can tell you how much urine in the bladder will hold. And she told me this one time, she told me how many cc's of fluid it takes for a toilet to automatically flush itself. If you pour water into
right, you can force a toilet to flush.
Force a toilet to flush, right?
There's a very specific amount. Okay.
So our sister did third shift nursing and apparently was very bored and did a little science. She told me one time, I can't remember what the number was, but she I don't know if it's specific to that toilet model or if it's all toilets, but yeah, she's like, did you know it only takes so many cc's of fluid to make a toilet flush? And I'm like, I didn't.
Well, she told me one time. She told me one time, your bladder can only hold we should explain the whole bladder. Explain the human body to us. She told me one time that I was in a situation. Okay, I'm just gonna explain the situation. I was in a situation. I had to pee into a cup. Okay, I had to use a cup as a toilet. Okay, we're on a trip home. Mom's gonna listen to this at some point. She wouldn't stop. She was determined to get home at a certain point. I don't know why she wouldn't stop. Just pee in this cup. Okay.
If she had to pee, we would have stopped.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I gotta pee.
She couldn't make it.
So there's an old Wendy's
without stopping.
I know. A 20-ounce Wendy's cup. Okay. And our sister Amy, she's like, you can pee in that cup. Your bladder cannot hold more pee than will go in that cup. That was factually wrong. I know that from experience. That is wrong. So I don't know how much.
I don't know how much the bladder can hold. I know it's a lot. Because on track with that, one time Alicia and I were coming back from Grandma and Grandpa's in Arizona, and when we lived in Vegas, and we had driven because it's like a 6-hour drive, but it's a beautiful drive through the desert, you know. Well, this was
deserted.
It is deserted desert. But this was before they had built the Pat Tillman Bridge over the Colorado River. So you drove directly over the Hoover Dam. And the Hoover Dam is a 2-lane road, 2 lanes, one in each direction. It's a high security area because of obvious reasons.
Right.
And so they have security checkpoint, like literal. They had checkpoints at each end of the dam. The United States military administers these checkpoints because this is
it's Corps of Engineers, right?
Well, and
Property,
it's valuable. It's a huge asset, like
right.
And a
yeah,
risk.
oh, that's
like,
true.
If that dam breaks, I mean, there's only 5 gallons of water behind it, but at the time, at the time it was still half full. Anyway, so we're coming back, and traffic's just backed up for miles, like up this canyon, and it's desert. There's nowhere to stop. Period. So even when we kind of felt like, oh, we should stop, like, you can't.
Right.
I mean, I can.
Where are you going to stop? Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can go behind a cactus.
Right.
You
don't want to get too close.
She couldn't. So, well, and you got to watch out for the cholla out there, because those cholla are no joke.
What's a cholla?
The cholla are the little spindly ones that have spines like all over them.
Okay.
And their spines have barbs on the end of them. So once they get into you, basically, if it's green and if it looks like a cucumber with a lot of yellow spikes on it, like all over, you don't want to get anywhere near it.
Okay.
Because those things can, like, somehow, I don't know, they're inanimate objects, they're a plant, but they can reach out and they can get you. They're called jumping cholla. It's weird. So anyway, so we're coming back to Vegas. We're like, man, we got to pee. Traffic is bumper to bumper because this is coming back from Thanksgiving. So it's everybody from Vegas who went to Arizona for Thanksgiving is now coming back. Bumper to bumper, backed up, like up. I mean, you can look down from where we were on top of the canyon there, and you can see cars just stopped all the way down. This is a winding road that goes down, and you can see cars. And we're both sitting there just like, I mean, at this point, I guess we're just going to have to pee our pants. It is what it is. And we finally, like, after probably a half hour of being like almost at or past the point of desperation, where it was just like your bladder's just going to do its thing.
Right.
We got to a spot where there was a pull off on the side of the dam we were on, and it had porta potties. And so we were able to pull off. Like, I almost forgot to put the car in a park because I was that, like, desperate. So I, like, throw the car in a park, and then, like, after almost forgetting to put it into park, then I almost forgot to shut it off. I'm like, I've got to pee so bad I can't even think.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how long I was in there. Like, had to have been a good 5 minutes or so.
Like, Tim, why is the car in Lake Mead?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm still peeing.
But
yeah.
So yeah, any specific reason you chose this?
Oh, I just thought it was super interesting, and I really appreciated the fact that Dion's, like, talking about this and like sharing publicly about his experience and stuff, because it's also a type of cancer that, like, can go unnoticed, and, like, the only symptom is blood in your urine. So it's kind of one of those things which, like, I mean, obviously if there's blood in your urine, you should be going to the doctor.
Yeah,
anyways.
But that's symptomatic of multiple
things. Yeah. And so it's really cool that, like, Dion's kind of using, I always love when celebrities and stuff use their platform to kind of, like, bring awareness to something. But I also really appreciated that so the point about the bladder, his new bladder, which is not really a bladder, but it's like, reconstructed. It's a constructed bladder-esque thing.
Okay.
The fact that it doesn't signal his brain, he made the comment in his press conference that, like his 1-year-old grandson, he depends on the depends. And I just really appreciated, like, his approach with humor and stuff, and kind of reducing the stigma around, like, having to wear adult diapers and like there's a process of like apparently kind of getting used to like training your body to know just kind of timing like when you need to go and stuff like that after this surgery. But the fact that like you're never gonna be, your brain's never gonna be signaled again to know when to go. So I just thought that was cool. I thought it was really cool that, you know, pro football player, super cool, you know, Primetime. If your name's Primetime, like, come on, you're the coolest guy in the room.
See, I'm glad that you brought up that he was telling this, because when I saw it, I didn't, like I said, I didn't read the article. I just saw that you said Dion's new bladder. And my thought was like, we have gotten way too comfortable as a society with violating the HIPAA rights of athletes. Like, we're, you know, like, unless it's a very obvious injury, it's like, it's none of our business. Right. You know, if a guy gets injured or girl gets injured and they're out for a game, it's none of your business why. You know, that is a very interesting. If it's an obvious, you know, like when Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles exploded in Game 7 of the NBA Finals this year, like you could see that. That was something, you know, like you
not a HIPAA violation if it happens on 4K.
Not a HIPAA violation if in 4K you see the tendon just go ding.
Yeah.
You know, like going back, you know, Joe Theismann when he got his leg broken and the bone was sticking out from his sock, you know, like, okay, that's clear and obvious. But if somebody, you know, has a strained calf, like, is that your business? You know, right. If somebody is like a sports hernia or a hernia like, or some kind of, you know, they needed surgery. Like, I mean, there's guys all the time getting back surgeries. You know, he's out with a back surgery. Like, is it really any of our business?
It makes me wonder though if these are things that are included in player contracts, that the team has the legal right to disclose these things, because, like, I mean, obviously they're team doctors. They're bound by HIPAA law. Like, I mean, they're bound by those things. So, and if they're disclosing to like the employer, you know what I mean? Especially like you think about it in all those contexts and you kind of take step back from it being like a sport. It's a business. It's a place of employment. And so like, an employee, I would have no right to ask why my employee needs to be off. They have, you know, FMLA, whatever, like, they can say, I need to be out of work for 6 weeks due to health reasons. And I have no legal right to ask what it is or anything like that. And their job is secured when they come back. So it's really interesting that, those usually always are made public. But it's also interesting that sometimes those things are not disclosed, like at least in hockey, in the playoffs, you always see like the team gets eliminated and then they you know, show you the list of like every player is like playing with like a herniated disc in their spine or a broken sternum or whatever. It's like, whoa, what are you
I think those are called excuses. Because you'll notice the Stanley Cup champion is not releasing an injury report the next day. You know, like
they did though. The Florida Panthers did last year. The
Panthers did, okay,
because that's how we knew Matthew Tkachuk had like. He couldn't get himself out of bed. He like literally Brady Tkachuk had to go like lift him out of bed and like somebody else had to tie his skates on, but he's out there playing hockey. Like he's playing NHL level hockey. And you would have never really, I mean, you knew like
what's
something
in that mouth guard he's chewing on, man.
Whatever those kids at Lolla are taking.
I just think also with injuries in sports, like, A, it's none of our business unless you really see what happens. B, can we call the injury what it is? I'm tired of hearing he's out with a hamstring. We all have 2 hamstrings, okay? You're not out because you have a hamstring. You're out because that hamstring is injured, okay? He pulled it. He tore it. Whatever actually happened to it, you know, I'm tired of listening. Of it. Yeah, like I'm tired of listening to Jim Nance be like, he had a knee. You know what, Jim? I got 2 knees. But you don't see me not going to work today.
This is a very specific linguistic complaint
It's
to
a
bring
linguistic
up Jim Nance.
complaint, yes. And now we
Okay.
don't need to have a literacy lesson later because I've given you one now. Okay. Semantics are
We'll just
important
skip that. Okay.
because we need to know.
It's true.
Like, he had an elbow.
I don't think we need to
elbow
know, but
what? I mean, we don't need to know.
we need to be more clear about the things we're talking about.
Exactly.
Is where I agree
Exactly.
with you. Yeah.
We all have an elbow.
Now it's starting to sound like a children's song. We all have a knee. We all have a knee. We all have an elbow. Stretch your Achilles. Okay. MLB Trade Deadline was when was that? Last week? At some point in the last 2 weeks.
Last day of July.
I saw the Tigers
31st.
got graded as like a C- or something like that.
Yeah,
getting
I
some
don't worry
pitching
about
help.
don't worry about the grades.
No, okay.
They're,
Anything notable that you saw happen?
not really. It was interesting to see like not as much activity, I think, as some people had thought there was going to be.
Okay.
As much big name activity.
Yeah.
Most of the big players stayed put. I think the biggest name maybe was Carlos Correa.
Okay.
Got traded from the Twins back to the Astros. So he can resume cheating. Yeah, I don't think anybody else. I mean, most teams were like trading prospects for like bullpen. I know the Dodgers basically went after relief pitching,
Okay.
but didn't have to give up a whole lot to get it. Yeah, I think most of the teams kind of just at this point, the ones that were in contention are content with where they are.
Okay.
And so they weren't buying as much.
Well, very interested to hear. Who was it? Let's see. The Mariners, who are 2 games back of the Astros in the West, American League West, made a couple big trades. That was getting all the attention. Suarez and Naylor.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, obviously they're trading out of Diamondbacks are in the National League, so they don't really care. But
the D-backs are in 4th in the division anyway, so they're not.
Yeah.
They know they're done for the year, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know. Interesting. Always interesting. Yeah.
Speaking of the Mariners, so I gotta walk back and eat some crow a little bit here. Cal Raleigh, home run derby champ, has hit 4 home runs since the derby.
4 since the derby.
Since the derby, which was only 2 weeks ago. So
he needs to pee in a cup.
He leads the league. So he's got 41 home runs. He's leading Major League Baseball, and 1 home run derby. So
okay, all right. Somebody's having a lot of juice with their breakfast.
So we'll see what he's drinking.
So Tim was wrong.
Wrong.
The bat did not go cold after the home run derby.
Nope, unless he was corking during the derby.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. Conspiracy theories. That'll play on YouTube.
No, I'm sure he's just having a great season. Breakout season.
Have you had a chance to watch Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
I have.
You did already?
Yes.
You were a big Happy Gilmore fan, right?
I was actually.
Okay.
Happy Gilmore actually got me interested in playing golf.
Really?
Yeah. So when Happy Gilmore first came out 30 some years ago, I was in middle school, high school. Never really.
1996.
Yeah, so almost 30 years. I never really even thought about golf. Like golf is a rich white dude sport, game that, us poor honkies will never get to play. So
I don't know that you can say honky.
I'm sure I can. Uh, you can bleep it out if you don't think, it's
Hey, it's fine.
it's a term of endearment.
It's not.
Yeah, no, so when Happy Gilmore first came out, I was like, man, that's hilarious. Like, he just runs up and smacks the ball, and it just goes a million miles. And so I thought, I want to try that. And a buddy of mine in high school, he was on the golf team or tried to be on the golf team. So he and I would go to the municipal golf course, and we somehow were able to rent a cart, despite our youth, which is probably not a good idea on their part.
No.
We would do all kinds of crazy stuff. So we tried the Happy Gilmore drive like all the time. We also tried to hit the ball out of the cart like while we were driving the cart. So, which actually in Happy Gilmore 2, they show that actually happening.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
You haven't had a chance to watch it yet?
Yeah, it's on my list. I love Happy Gilmore.
So I loved it. It was interesting. Not as good a story. Not as good a story. I feel like what it basically is like, like if you had a high school reunion 30 years later, but like half the class was dead.
30 years after high school, if half your class is dead, wow.
You probably went to Napoleon High School. But I like it. It wanted to have a story, and it just didn't. But it had a lot of callbacks to the first one, and then a lot of flashbacks to the first one.
Oh, interesting.
It was funny. It had its humorous moments. I'm not going to spoil it. It's just
don't spoil it for me.
Like I thought you'd already watched it because you put it on here.
I intended to watch it before, and I just didn't.
Yeah, I just watched it yesterday. It was good. I mean, I probably would watch it again. It's not going to be like the original where I like would rewind the tape and watch it again immediately after having watched it the first time.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to have the opening monologue memorized from this one.
Is 364 more days to hockey tryouts? Got to be.
Yeah.
Is it one of those movies where you should go back and watch the first one and then watch like do a double header?
Well, like I said, there's enough flashbacks.
Okay.
That I don't really think it's necessary to go back.
So they bring you along.
They bring you. They kind of bring you up to speed.
Okay.
It's got its humorous moments.
Okay.
But I didn't think it was as developed as the first one. The first one was like this guy whose parents got divorced because of hockey. His dad got killed because of hockey. He wanted to be a hockey player, but he sucked. His grandma's house was getting taken by the IRS, and he won $40 hitting a golf ball down the block and killing two neighbors. And and like the light bulb went on. And this one was more like, I mean, they did acknowledge the fact that it's 30 years later.
Right. Okay.
But they didn't do a good job like sequeling.
Okay.
Like
a new hero's journey kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there was still a hero's journey, but
so that brings me to the question I have for you, which is, what, in your opinion, what's the best sports or sports adjacent movie ever?
Oh man.
And don't cop out and just say Hoosiers just because of.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a given. And if you're from the state of Indiana, you get a copy of Hoosiers at your birth.
It's like the Trump bonds or whatever they're doing.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. You
just
grow
get a
up.
copy of you get a copy
grow up
of it.
memorizing every Gene Hackman line in that movie. You know, you practice shooting hoops in your driveway as a young boy. That's very true. Now, I used to like Chariots of Fire.
Ooh, a classic.
Sports adjacent movie. I liked it. Thought it was an interesting message. Someone who had trained his entire life to do something, which was run the 100 meters at the Olympics. And then the race was scheduled for a Sunday, and he was very devout about not doing any labor on Sundays. And so he literally, he got to the Olympics, got to the city the Olympics were in, and then he gave up his spot in the race. And then somebody else ended up giving him their longer distance spot, which he hadn't trained for as much. And then he ends up going out and winning. It's based on a true story. So I used to really like that movie. Very well shot. The score is classic.
Oscars,
Won some Academy Awards. Yeah.
Let's see.
Best score, I believe. Best picture. 1981.
Winner of, let's see. Can never trust the AI. Never trust that.
Just go to IMDb.
It won. Yeah, that's where I'm at. It won Best Picture. 1982, Best Picture.
Oh, 82. Sorry.
82,
I knew it was around the time I was born.
And for Best Writing.
As a kid, liked Mighty Ducks.
And Best Costume Design. Chariots of Fire. I don't know. Throwing that out there.
Okay.
And Best Score. You were right. Best Score.
Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
Mighty Ducks 2 was okay, and then
D2 was awesome.
And then they were like, you know what? Let's Land Before Time this.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
I think they had a series, like a Disney Channel series of it or something at one point, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Like the first one was good,
Yeah.
Classic, alcoholic gets a DUI, has to coach a youth hockey team.
let's put an alcoholic.
What could possibly go wrong?
Lawyer who needs anger management, and just a destructive force of an adult in charge of like a group of kids who needs a very positive role model. I mean, it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
What about like Miracle? I remember you and I going to see Miracle in theaters, which was awesome.
Miracle was a good movie. Very well done. Cool Runnings. I like Cool Runnings.
I was going to bring up.
That was fun. Just more of the comedy aspect of it.
Yeah.
John Candy. The fact that it's based on a true story, but it still sounds like there's no way it's based on a true story.
Yes, absolutely. That blew my mind as a kid. I was like wait, this was real?
Yeah, when I first saw the trailer for it, I remember thinking like, there's no way that's based on a true story. Like they're making up the story that it's based on, or like it was nowhere near a 4-man bobsled team from Jamaica. Like maybe a 2-man bobsled team, maybe a loser. Like no,
so good.
Based on true story, so good.
So many good lines.
Yes.
My favorite. Dead man.
My favorite is when they are naming the sled. And it says Tallulah.
It's his mother's name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other guy says Tallulah. Good. Sounds like a $2 hooker.
So bad. Oh man. And then let's see, you got you can go more the drama route. You can go more with like you got like Days of Thunder. That's a sports movie,
Yeah, but it's got racing. Tom Cruise in it. So yeah.
Not a big Tom Cruise fan, huh?
No.
Not into Scientology? Okay.
It's more just not into the Tom Cruise.
You got Rocky, The Rocky movies?
Rocky is classic. I'm be going to Philadelphia in the spring, so
okay.
I definitely plan on running up
Jogging
the steps.
Running up the steps. All right, I love it.
I won't be waiting for Philadelphians to throw things at me or spit on me or whatever they do to tourists. But
there's got to be at some point in every episode where we just shit on Philly. Because
why not?
Yeah, those are the clips that are doing the best on
YouTube. It's either Philly or Cleveland. I mean, we can
Philly and Cleveland.
There's other cities I could hate on, but they're the easiest targets.
Easiest targets. It really is.
And a funny
they make themselves the easiest targets.
So so when I was doing weddings in Vegas, the only time I ever got heckled, and I'm not kidding, heckled by a group of guests while I was taking their photos, they were from Philly.
I could see that.
Straight heckling a wedding photographer.
Yeah. Just for no reason.
No reason. Just, they're from Philly.
Just because we were raised like this.
Just, I guess. I don't know.
Something in the water, maybe. Something in the water. It's like, how when everybody in New York is like, the reasons the bagels are so good is because of the water. It's like, the reason everybody's so dumb is because of the fucking water.
Yeah. That's there's a lot of great sports movies.
Really good ones. I actually had forgotten Rudy. We didn't even mention Rudy.
Rudy, yeah,
that's a phenomenal sports movie.
I think too many of them though are based on like the underdog story. Like we need a we need a sports movie where like the main character doesn't win the championship.
True.
like Rudy,
doesn't
but
succeed at the end.
Rudy, but he doesn't make the team.
Yeah. I think that kind of a movie would be like released by A24, and like 15 people would see it, and it would just never be talked about,
probably
like, in the years in the future. So
yeah.
Well, I did want to bring up one other thing, and we don't have to have a huge long discussion about this.
Yeah.
But there was a verdict in the Hockey Canada trial, which I learned a whole lot of stuff just about the judicial system in Canada, which is very interesting. Obviously pretty similar to the US, but pretty different at the same time. So just to kind of give background for the folks listening and watching this, there's a situation where there's like sexual assault allegations made against a group of junior hockey players who were playing at the time for the Canadian national team. And it's really a case of like very complicated case of like consent, justice. There's a lot of very like serious issues to consider within this. I don't necessarily feel one of my favorite hockey podcasts is the Steve Dangle podcast, and they did a really, really good job, I thought, of handling this whole thing, because they got into it without kind of like making it just a topic to talk about. You know what I mean? Not a thing to just kind of like spout their opinions about or whatever. So I definitely highly recommend like going and watching their video with the journalist Katie Strang from The Athletic, and reading the Katie Strang that she co-authored. I don't know the other author.
She co-authored the article
on The Athletic about the whole case, and just kind of describing. But there's a whole lot of really like just crazy stuff about the case in general, where like it was a jury trial. There was some like fishy stuff with the jury, where like the defense, who's representing the accused, the players who are alleged to have committed the assault, and the defense went and like kind of interfered or was like talking to one of the members of the jury outside of the court. And so this person reported it, as they should, and then like they had to rule a mistrial, like re-up the jury. And then another thing with the jury where they were like, they made a complaint against the defense that the lawyers for the defense were like basically like snickering and making comments about their appearance. They felt like the defense was making like comments about their appearance as they walked in, about the jury's appearance as they walked in, and making them feel like very uncomfortable. And the jury reported that. And so I don't know how this works in Canada. I don't know how this works in the US even. If that's possible to just have a criminal case where you don't have a jury. I don't know if that's even possible in the US justice system. I know it's like sort of state by state, depending on whether it's like a state court or whether it's a federal court or whatever. But very interesting because it ended up being just the judge, a non-jury trial. And so, and all of this kind of stuff happened after like, apparently the person that centered the case, the accuser said, victim said, went through like 9 days of testimony. And so it was like after all of this like very exhausting, troubling kind of time for her, as you can imagine, then the jury gets thrown out and we have to like start a whole new thing. And now all of this testimony is inadmissible. Yeah. And now she has to repeat this whole thing. So it's just, it was really a very unsettling, I guess I should say, at the least unsettling kind of verdict, but also just the case in general. And the verdict was that the judge's verdict was that, or I guess not even a verdict, but a ruling, was acquittal, basically. And so, despite lots of even public evidence that there were things involved that were just very beyond any reasonable person's assumption of what's right and wrong. So yeah, did you end up reading the article?
Yeah, so I read the article, and I had heard of this case kind of when it first started,
which was a while ago.
Which was what, 2 years ago, I think, almost. Excuse
the actual
me.
Incident happened in like
the incident happened,
2018
I think,
or 2019.
Yeah, I think almost a decade ago. So I remember, I vaguely remembered hearing about the stuff that led to the initial settlement from Canada Hockey, but I didn't know it had gone like to another criminal trial. Like, I guess when I had first heard of it, basically they would decline to press charges. The police said, like, we don't have enough evidence to charge anything. Hockey Canada settled with the victim, undisclosed sum of money, whatever. And then all these years later, well, not all these years, but, a few years later, she is working with a prosecutor now that, and this trial's done now, to bring the charges back. And somehow they've filed charges. And yeah, like you said, the jury was tampered with twice or uncomfortable or whatever. So it ended up being a bench trial. Here in America, you can only have a bench trial if you waive your right to a jury trial.
Ooh, okay.
So if you are ever taken to court, it will be a jury trial unless you say, I don't want to have a jury trial, or unless you plead guilty.
Okay.
You can have what's called a bench trial, where the judge will just hear all the facts of the case and they'll make a decision. You'll still call witnesses and all that. But instead of 12 randos off the street, you've got
peers.
Peers. Yes. You've got a judge who supposedly is a little more competent and hopefully impartial. Right. Most people either plea out or take their chances with the jury. But so when I was reading, the one thing that I found really unsettling about it, because there's alcohol involved, there's a lot of she said, they said, he said, going on. The thing I found unsettling was that they taped her consenting to what happened after the fact, from what I read.
And let's just put this on the record. That's
not consent. That's not consent. And
that's not how that works.
To me, that was the most unsettling thing, is like, if you knew you didn't do anything that was
right,
that egregious or that heinous, why did you make sure that at 5 o'clock in the morning or whenever it was that these videos were made, that you got a real quick recording of this person saying, oh yeah, I consented to everything? No,
right,
that's not how it works. Nobody can consent to anything when they're intoxicated, period, either side. So I mean, if the guys were all drunk, none of them could consent to anything. If she's drunk, she can't consent to anything. Bottom line is, if you're intoxicated, just go to bed.
Yeah.
Call a cab.
Yeah.
Get home safe.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
There were underage, Canada's drinking age is 19. But there were a couple of these guys who were under, they were 18, who had been drinking as well. My thought is, if Canada Hockey wants to go out and say, oh, nothing happened, this is a big, whatever, why do they have a fund specifically set up to handle these kinds of things, to pay out? And why did they pay out? If you are that confident that your players didn't do anything wrong, or or they're just choir boys, why do you have a fund set up specifically to pay these kind of claims out?
Right.
And why do you engage in a settlement then, instead of letting it play out in the courts as it should?
Right. I think it also lends quite a bit of credibility to the victim also, because there's no a lot of times you'll hear people say, if there's a criminal case, and with whichever way it goes, and then there's a civil case, and so then it's like, oh, now I'm going to get my money kind of thing. You'll hear people say oh, she's just trying to get her money, or this is an extortion kind of thing, whatever. The fact that years after the settlement has been made, there is still this criminal case that's being pursued, I think lends a lot of credibility to the fact that okay, there's no reason to go through that pain and torment of having to relive this experience in front of a room full of people, in front of the people you're accusing also, when what I mean, you've already settled and stuff. There's obviously not that motive there.
Yeah.
And so that's, yeah.
They, from what I was reading, she had to testify remotely because they were afraid for her security. People were making threats against her, saying, she's ruining these guys' lives, whatever. I think it's too common of an issue in sports, unfortunately, that we have a lot of high-level athletes who get away with certain criminal activity, especially when it comes to sexual assault, where it's, well, he's the star, whatever,
right?
You know, as a Steelers fan, we went through with Roethlisberger more than once. You know,
There was more than once on that.
oh, there was more than once.
Okay.
One was with Stormy Daniels, which
That name sounds familiar.
yeah, well, she's that Stormy Daniels, President Trump. Yeah, she was the girl he paid the hush money to. So that one was like, I don't know, who do I believe? But whatever. Of course, this was before the Trump thing. But the other one was in Georgia, I believe, in like a bar.
Yeah, I remember reading about that, and that was when, you know, I remember because that had happened like either early in his career or late in his college career or something.
I think that one was early in his
like
pro career, yeah.
And you know, had been settled or whatever, and
Yeah.
Me being an idiot, I thought, okay, it's settled. Like it's
Yeah.
like if it's settled, it's like a thing where it's, you know, who am I to say? And I eventually, sometime around like 2017, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, I was like, you know what? Let me go read. Like, I'm going to see what's out, you know, what articles have been out there or whatever. Side note, huge kudos to these journalists who go after these, you know, digging into these stories that, and trying to piece together the truth, because there is such a, this is the hard part about this whole thing is like, there's so little that we know, but there's a lot that like the journalists, when they're going and researching these things and digging through it, can really unearth a lot of like points of evidence where it's like, okay, you can pretty much paint the picture. And when I read about Roethlisberger and all that stuff, that was really when I was like, all right, I can't be a part of this, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing too, where it's like this kind of backing up from like the whole Hockey Canada case, or, you know, any one specific case. It kind of is a thing where it's like, I always have trouble reading into these things and thinking into these things because you just don't know. I'm not well enough versed in understanding sexual assault. I'm not well enough versed in the legal system as a whole. I'm not, I don't understand, like, you know, you're not in the situation. You don't know all of the internal situations. These are obviously, like, by nature, very private circumstances. And so a lot of the times you just don't know. And so it also kind of makes me, it always kind of makes me feel like, should I even be reading about this? Should I, like, you know, you kind of want to like take a step back and go like, I don't like, I'm not the judge. I'm not on the jury. I have no, it feels like almost voyeuristic to be like, let me read about this case and, you know, come to my own conclusions. To what end? You know what I mean? But I guess at a certain level, it's important to learn about it to move forward and educate, in a sense of like, you know, how I'm raising my son, explaining how consent works, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. What's your take on that?
I think the root of the problem, it starts, and I've seen it firsthand. It starts in high school, middle school, when these talented for their place athletes, they get a little bit of a big head. Their coaches get a big head. You know, I don't know if some of these high school and junior high coaches think that like this kid's gonna take them along for the ride or what. But I've seen it. I've been on teams where we have a set of rules, we have a code of conduct, and me, you know, fourth string defensive tackle held to, you know, that standard, and, you know, starting quarterback, it's okay. You know, you know, I'm not the guy going out to the parties. I'm not the guy drinking. I'm driving. I'm not the guy, you know, doing all these things, you know, so it doesn't matter to me. But what's the point of us having these codes of conduct, these rules, if we're not enforcing them equally to everyone? So it starts there. And then for the ones who actually are talented enough to go on to play at the next level and the level, you know, to move through, if they've never been held accountable for their actions, they've never been told, like, you violated the code of conduct, you've done something that requires a punishment, they're going to continue to do it until there is a severe enough punishment. You know, look at Maurice Claret from Ohio State. You know, several years ago, 20 some years ago, was very talented running back. Apparently never got told no enough. Apparently never got held to account. You know, ends up armed robbery. You know, and the only reason he was held accountable was because, like, it's a federal felony, and the feds were like, well, we don't care who you are. Right. You know, now they care.
Different situations 20 years later.
You know, different situations. But, you know, I think a lot of it, that's where it starts, is that these kids, you know, are not held accountable as kids. And then they end up getting that sense of, like, I am above the law. I am above rules. I can do what I want. And I think when it comes to especially male athletes and any kind of sexual activity, it's either I'm entitled to it because of who I am, or she wants to be with me because of who I am. So,
right.
You know, it's almost like this, you know, I deserve this. I'm, you know, I'm taking what's owed to me, as if another person is owed to you, period. You know, like, it's not a possession. She's a person. She has her own autonomy. She has her own free will. You know, a lot of these issues too, though, the common denominator is alcohol. You know, the common denominator is, it was dollar beer night, it was college party, it was, you know, and there's nothing wrong with alcohol. There's nothing wrong with having a few drinks. There's everything wrong with having too many drinks and doing something stupid or doing something illegal.
Yeah.
And we've all had too many drinks and done something stupid. That, you know, but
yeah, I think it's also a situation where it's like, there's things that cross a line where it's like, alcohol plays a part, sure, but it's all the background. It's like what's underneath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the foundation there? What's your intention just in general? What's your baseline, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a thing. I mean, like you said, it's a thing that's got to be an education thing from, like, when kids are little, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, when I say don't touch me like that, I mean don't touch me like that.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And you know, it's a learned entitlement, like you were saying. So well, I don't know what Canada's, like, appeal system is like, if this is going to go up to another rung in the ladder, or if this is kind of the end of it, or anything like that. really interested to see what happens now, because the NHL did their own investigation into this. So Hockey Canada did an investigation.
Yeah.
The NHL did an investigation because a lot of these players were in the NHL.
Yeah. And they were suspended indefinitely.
Yes.
Right.
And they are still suspended indefinitely.
Ending the investigation.
They are still suspended even after
they're still suspended even after this trial. Okay.
So I'm interested to see, because apparently the NHLPA, which is kind of interesting because you want to go, oh yeah, I'm pro-union. The NHLPA is kind of advocating on behalf of the players now to be reinstated. On a legal basis, okay. But one of the points, again, like on the Steve Dangle podcast, they were saying like teams and the NHL have a code of conduct, a moral code of conduct. And if you violate the code of conduct, like you can be suspended for, whatever, putting a 9 mil in your sweatpants when you're going to the club. Like you can get suspended for that. Okay. Another Plaxico reference. Like you may be well within your rights in the law, under the law, but you may have done something that is contrary to the code of conduct that the teams have set out. And so it's really interesting. But honestly, it's going to come back to, is this player, this is the way the teams are thinking. I'm definitely not thinking this. So just for the record, this is not me saying this. This is not, I'm embodying a different entity. The teams are going to say, well, is the player good enough to be worth the flack that we're going to get until the next news cycle? Because there have been all kinds of crazy shit. Like one I can point out for a very easy example is who was it? Valerie Nichushkin from the Avs.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of crazy shit about that story. Police involved. We're talking about like possible sex trafficking. Like that was some crazy, crazy shit. And guess what? He's a good enough player. He's back on the team. So,
well, and that goes back to what I was saying, is it starts in middle and high school, and yeah. I've seen it. He's a good enough player, and a lot of these coaches don't, especially at the lower levels, little league baseball or, high school sports or, rec league or whatever, it's, well, he's that good that he gets a pass. I coached elementary sports the last couple of years, and my players had to sign a code of conduct.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I
love that.
My play, and it wasn't, it included things like being respectful to your teachers and, being a role model. Like you're an athlete. Other kids are looking up to you. I had to kick kids off the team.
Damn.
I didn't want to do it.
What's the worst thing you had to kick a kid off the team for?
I had kids. I had kids who would get in fights, who got into fights. So, like, the thing was, I'm like, I want to give this kid a chance to,
right.
Try to have a positive outlet.
Yeah.
And so I had a kid who, all the teachers, and I asked the teachers before, I'm like, what do you think about this kid? How is he in class? How is she in class? Because it was co-ed sports. Take some of that into consideration. But I had a kid who, he was real hothead. Kind of reminded me of myself when I was his age. Just temper, anger management. I'm like, I want to try to work with this kid. Give him a positive outlet. And he was doing fine for a few weeks, and then toward the end of the season, he ended up getting into fights in the classroom, and I had to kick him off. I had to talk to him and his mom, and say, look, like, I wanted this to work out. I wanted you to be able to, to continue to play, but we can't have your behavior represent who we are as an organization.
And condone
be
that at a certain a certain point, condoning it.
I'm fourth and fifth, these are fourth and fifth graders.
Yeah.
Fourth and fifth graders in, Columbus, Ohio, playing in a fun basketball, flag football, soccer league.
Right.
No points, no trophies, no nothing.
And you know what? At that age,
I'd rather kick a kid out now and let them learn that hard lesson of I've got to control myself. Because, sports are about discipline. If you're an athlete, it's about discipline. It's about controlling yourself. Maybe that kid goes to middle school. Maybe he goes to high school. Very talented athlete. Maybe he gets his life together. Or maybe he realizes I can't control myself when I'm on the court, or I can't control myself to represent my school well. So I'm going to, work on myself and not worry about sports. But there's too many coaches out there who won't, he's a good player.
I want to win the game.
I don't care, I don't care if he's in 7th grade and he can dunk on everybody.
Right.
If he's disrespectful to his teachers, if he's bullying classmates, if he's doing things that are against the code of conduct, consequences, man. If I get pulled over for speeding, the cop's not well, how good of a teacher are you? Right. I've never, it's oh, but you're a really good member of society, so I'll let you have a pass on this one.
Right.
So yeah, it starts young, and we've got to start holding these kids accountable.
Yeah.
And players have to be more disciplined on and off the field, the court, the ice.
Or just generally, don't do dumb shit. Like it's not even just about being disciplined. It's just live a life that you're not being an asshole and assaulting people. And you don't have to live like that.
Be the kind of person that, be the kind of person that's not going to be in those situations. We're all going to do dumb stuff from time to time. It's the level of legality involved with your stupidity,
or morality.
Or morality. I mean, I've done plenty of, really stupid things, but I've never done anything illegal or anything that has harmed another individual. Get a driver, go to bed. Like I said, go to bed, go to bed. That's the best thing you can do.
Right. So all that to say, don't do dumb shit.
Well,
hold kids accountable.
Hold kids accountable.
Train them in what consent looks like, which is not certainly not a video after the fact. That is not consent.
Even in this particular situation, and in a lot of situations like it, even if you would have gotten consent, if someone's intoxicated, they cannot consent to anything.
Right.
So you can't, you could have had a 20-minute video of that person, oh, I can't wait to, yes, I consent, blah, blah, blah. If she's slurring her words and she's falling over herself, she can't consent.
Right.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Get her number. Go to bed. Call her the next day. The main event this evening. So we're straying a little bit from the reset the clock. We're going to a different topic here, main topic. And the one I proposed for this one is, why do we hate the greats? We kind of got into this a little bit, I guess, last week with talking about Gretzky. Maybe even the week before, talking about Tom Brady. But it's something that's kind of struck me over the last 10 to 20 years in sports that I've found really interesting, because I remember growing up, and maybe this is just my own personal perspective, but I feel like this is kind of somewhat universal in our society and in our sports culture, that over the last 10, 20 years, we've grown to just kind of like view the like greatest player of that generation in whatever sport as like the heel instead of as like the face, you know? And so it's interesting as a change from like when you had Troy Aikman or Brett Favre or like Michael Jordan. Can you imagine people in the 90s hating Michael Jordan, just despising? Like, if you're not a Pistons fan, obviously, like, this is before I moved to Detroit and became a Pistons fan. Michael Jordan was awesome. Everybody wanted to be Jordan. Everybody wanted to see Jordan. Everybody wanted to like Jordan. Jordan was exciting to watch. Like, a fun basketball player to watch. Now, people hate on Jordan, but I feel like that's retrospective. I don't feel like that was current in the time. I don't feel like the Jordan hate was current in the time. You had people, you know, wearing Yankees hats. Everybody was a Yankees fan. It wasn't hated, you know. Now I feel like that's a lot more frowned upon to be, you know, a non-New Yorker and wear a Yankees hat. So I don't know. Why do we hate the greats?
I can speak for myself. I hated Jordan when he played.
Okay.
So I guess I hated Jordan before it was cool.
You're going to have to take an outside perspective because you hate everybody.
I hate everybody.
You hate everybody just to hate.
It's just
you hate.
It's
you
easier
hate
that
anybody.
way.
What I mean by you hate everybody is that anybody who everybody else likes, you hate them. Just to swim upstream.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like I said last week, you know, Charles Barkley was my hero because he said he wasn't supposed to be my hero. You know, so like, yeah, like everybody loves the Jordan Bulls, and I was like, I don't see what's so great about him. Like he's, you know, like I did not like the Jordan era Bulls because I think Jordan got too much credit for the rest of that team. Like that was why I was kind of a Jordan hater back then, because it was like, dude, Pippen, Kukoc, Kerr, Rodman are out there, you know, rebounding and passing it back to him for shots, or getting open for him to get assists into, or you know, cleaning up his turnover that he almost made or whatever. You know, it's like there's four other guys on the court that are equally as good. Like the 90s Bulls, I respected. I hated them as a Pacers fan and as a, you know, like they're the Bulls and they're just too good, and this is not, you know, good for sports. I am somewhat of a contrarian, but I'll be honest, like
I've never heard you underplay something so much in my life. I'm somewhat of a contrarian.
I hated Jordan when he played, just because, like I just said, like there was a team around him and he got all the credit and he was okay with that. Like he wasn't that, you know, he wasn't that guy who got all the credit, but was like, no, dude, I want to thank my teammates. Like,
right. Yeah.
You know, Rodman had a great game on the glass, on the defense, you know, Steve Kerr was knocking out threes. No, it's, yeah, I'm that good.
Right.
I mean, this guy thought he was so good he could quit basketball, go play baseball, and come back to play basketball like nothing ever happened.
He was,
and he was that good.
He did that.
I'm not saying he wasn't a
He
good.
came back and immediately won another 3 championships.
I know, but I hated Jordan before it was cool to hate Jordan.
Yeah.
I think
So-
part of the reason
you-
I think part of the reason we hate the greats, like as far as like you brought it up, you said like the face and the heel. Like as a kid growing up in the 80s watching WWF and
the World Wildlife Foundation,
the World Wrestling Federation. Anyway, like you were supposed to root for Sergeant Slaughter and against the Iron Sheik. If that's a testament to how old I am.
not a reference I got.
Yeah. So like we were supposed to have like this one guy that we hated, or this collective of guys that you hated. And even though we all knew wrestling was fake and we all knew it was a show, and we knew that, like these guys aren't like this backstage. I hope some of them probably are and were, like they're just so easy to hate. I will say for a certain segment of fans, it's easy to hate your opponent because they're your arch rival.
Okay.
As a Dodgers fan, like anything San Fran, anything Giants related, like I have to respect your right as a human to survive, even though you're a fan of such a shitty team. But I hate the Giants. Like if one of our guys gets traded, he's not going to the Giants. You can rest assured, like we will not trade with the Giants.
Right.
There are players on the Giants that I'm like, man, if he wanted to come over to us, I would not complain. Right. I can respect talent, but I hate that. I hate that team. Like,
yeah,
it's just, I think certain rivalries become part of your identity as a fan. I think it's easy to hate something and someone who you're never going to meet in real life.
So, well, do you think so? On your last point, do you think that do you think that this kind of being a more recent phenomenon is, at least in my perspective, and if people are listening and viewing this and want to comment and totally disagree, and I'm totally off base, and this is only me who's experienced this, and it's just my perspective. That's fine. But do you think that it's sort of a product of like everybody can watch their own team now? And so it's a lot easier because like I'm thinking back to like the 90s, you watched what was on TV, like on the national broadcast of whatever, you got to watch those players. Those are the players that you rooted for, unless you had your own team sort of thing. You have your own team. You can watch your own team in your city. The national broadcast, you can only watch, the great players in each sport is who they're showing on those national broadcasts. And so anybody that's not on your team, you're rooting for like the greats at the time sort of thing. Now you can stream any game you want. Like you can, if you don't live in the city of your team, you can stream that, your favorite team's games. You're not at the mercy of like, oh, I grew up a Pittsburgh fan, but now I live in Chicago. I can never see a Pirates game or a Penguins game or whatever. I'm not a Chicago sports fan. So now I just got to root for Gretzky, like, because Gretzky's the Gretzky games are the only ones that are played on the national broadcasts or whatever. Maybe that's a bad example, but you see what I'm saying? Like, does that have anything to do with anything? Is this a thing?
I don't know. I mean, I've been a fan of my teams, no matter what, and I guess I guess I've only cared about my team, if that makes sense.
Okay.
As long as I've been a fan, like I
Right.
don't care about your team. Like
Now
I'm
we
a
need
Dodgers-
t-shirts that say, I don't care about your team.
I'm a Dodgers fan. You
Yeah.
can talk about the Yankees all you want. I don't care. I don't like the Yankees. Never did. I can recognize that Derek Jeter was a great player. I can recognize that Babe Ruth was a great player. I can recognize that Aaron Judge is a great player, but I still hate the Yankees. I guess for me personally, like I don't necessarily hate individual athletes so much. There's a few I do. Jordan was one of them. Alexander Ovechkin, can't stand the guy.
As you've said.
So I had a colleague who her son was when we lived in Vegas, her son was really into hockey. And they were doing the NHL awards out there. And the public was kind of like part of it at a certain point. Like the public could go, see the players or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And her kid like wanted Ovechkin's autograph, and Ovechkin like basically pushed him away, like brushed him to the side, and was real douchey about it. So I was like, he seems like the kind of guy who would just be a douche, like for no reason. Like he seems like the guy who Putin sent here to like rep Russia and be like a good, good model of like if we were growing up in my like Cold War era childhood, he'd be like the Russian spy,
Yeah, totally.
But he's like out in the open and everybody thinks he's a great guy, but he's like totally committed.
He's
in
cover.
Washington D.C. So I mean, think about it. Like I don't know. I'm just I'm not saying Ovechkin was a spy. I'm just saying he's a dick. He looks like a dick. He plays like a dick.
I'm gonna cut together just a whole reel of conspiracy theories from this episode. Because I feel like there's several now.
No, you'll have to look at the transcript.
Yeah.
But I think the internet has made it easier.
Okay.
Especially
internet's made it easier to hate certain players.
I think the internet has made it not only easier to hate certain players, but easier to express that hate.
So it's just louder now.
I think it's just amplified, honestly.
Okay. Well, that's true, because how would you ever know? Like, how would I have ever known what the opinions were of somebody who lived in, Wyoming or wherever?
Yeah, and I think like how would you assume that most people who are watching sports are rooting for the good guy or looking at this greatest player of the generation as the greatest player of the generation? Maybe that's not always been the case. I don't know. I can speak from my personal experience, and like sometimes it just feels good to hate. Maybe I was born to be a Sith Lord, but sometimes you just got to open up,
let the anger flow through,
and let the anger flow through you.
Yeah.
But like I can recognize greatness. My students all the time want to ask like, who's better, Messi or Ronaldo? I'm like they're the only two football players in the world right now.
Right.
And I'm like just the other day we were talking about this. Alicia and I were talking about this, and I'm like, I think next time a kid asks me Messi or Ronaldo, I'm going to say Erling Haaland, who is the striker for Man City and he has the Premier League goal record for a season.
Okay.
It's like stop talking about these two guys who, right. They're not the only guys.
Yeah.
Is hate too strong of a word? I guess would be the question. Like, do people really hate these people, or are they just?
Oh, like
I hate teams. I hate cities. I hate fan bases. But I'm not going to go online and be like, hiding behind this wall of anonymity and saying, I hate LeBron James because blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I don't think it's even hiding anonymously. It's like people do this out in the open. I mean, and I do think it's hatred. I think it's like, and I think you're right. Part of it is like the era of social media where you can just, spout off whatever bullshit you want in, 100 whatever characters and have no repercussions for it. And the fact that like the algorithms, like, they prioritize anger and like negative emotion. And so it picks up on that and it does amplify it. I think you're right about that. Yeah. I think people, and I think like, as people say these things, I think it creates the reality in their brain. Like, I think the more people hate on a player, the more it becomes just wired hatred in their brain. Like, to just, and it's sort of just like, I think there's a lot of like, and I'm guilty of this too. Like, I fucking hate Tom Brady. I can't stand Tom Brady. I can't stand to look at his face. I suffered through that one episode of Man in the Arena. And I started to be like, man, maybe Tom Brady's a good guy. Like, he seems kind of nice. But I can't stand his face. He just looks like a douche. It's kind of like you with Ovechkin. Like, he's probably a nice guy. He's probably fine, but he just looks like a douche. He just seems like a douche. I don't want to even acknowledge the fact that he's my hatred for Tom Brady is so deep that I don't want to acknowledge the fact that he's responsible for how many ever Super Bowls he's won, 7 or whatever. Like, I want to say, no, those aren't legit. Like, the first one was the defense. The next 2 were this or that. You got
his kicker did win the first 2.
Yeah, you've got Deflategate, deeper into the history. Like, there's all these kinds of things, Spygate. Like, there's all these things where it's like along the way, there's ways for me to justify in my brain, like, I just don't like Tom Brady, and he didn't legitimately win. Stop the count, man. He stole the election. He stole the Super Bowls.
I mean, that's how I feel about Ovechkin. I was like all this past season, the NHL is sending me freaking notifications and emails like, he's only got, Ovi's only got so many more. And I'm just like, if he could slip and fall in the shower today and just,
wow.
I mean, I don't wish death on a guy, but I mean, if they could have a career-ending injury,
wow,
to keep them
at like 892,
like not breaking records that they don't deserve.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I mean, I'm I'm the guy like, so when I was a Steelers fan, and I do this with other sports too, but like when Cleveland and Cincinnati would be playing, and it was like that game mattered for the Steelers standings, but I didn't want to see either of those teams win. I'm like, can Lake Erie just open up and swallow the stadium with both of them inside? Like, can the Ohio River spill its banks and flood Cincinnati to the point
Toxic
where
water
they just, there's no football in Cleveland or Cincinnati anymore.
Yeah.
Like, as a VGK fan, like, if there's a way that San Jose could just not be a thing anymore, I wouldn't complain. I hate those guys. I
mean,
I hated when we hired Pete DeBoer. Like when he got fired by the Sharks, and we were like, "Sure, he's our guy." I'm like, "What the hell are we doing? You can't bring in a guy from like because this was after they had done the whole." This was after they had beat us in the semis by cheating in a game to get a 5-minute major for a penalty that was barely a minor.
This is deep VGK lore that I am not aware of.
Yeah, so
okay.
I don't remember who the Sharks player was that did it, but basically, I mean, like
a dive kind of thing.
Like he took a legit hit. I think it was a cross check, but it was in open ice. So it's going to be a roughing call.
Right.
So he's on the ice, and all of a sudden, blood is pouring from his face.
Okay. So
like he got hit,
chest. He did the old
WWE razor blade thing. I'm like, there is no way that hit caused that like injury.
Yeah.
No way. And ended up being a match. I think it was a match penalty for our guy, and then a 5-minute major. And we go on to lose the game because obviously, like, you can't kill a major.
Right.
So I hate, if San Jose just gets wiped off the map tomorrow, it's no sweat off my back. I do. I mean,
they basically are. They're that bad at this point. So,
yeah.
But so a team more so. But do you hate like? Well, I was trying to think of a team that's like at the top of the sport. Liverpool's a bad example because you're an Everton fan.
Yeah.
What's another team like that's just been? Oh, so Kansas City, the Chiefs. Do you hate the Chiefs just because they're the Chiefs? I guess that's maybe the one counter example that I can think of is the Chiefs. I feel like everybody loves the Chiefs over the last few years. But the thing about the Chiefs is they're a very fun team to watch. Again, like the 90s Bulls, they're a fun team to watch on the field when they're playing.
Yeah.
They do a lot of crazy stuff. They really seem like they enjoy playing together.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel miserable. It doesn't feel like a slog. So maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's more to the hatred. Maybe it's just like if you're winning but you're boring at winning, then you deserve the hate.
Maybe. I think a lot of hate comes out of off-court stuff or off-field stuff. Okay. Like you brought up LeBron. Right. I was ambivalent about LeBron until the decision. And I was like, man, that dude is like...
See, that was a lot of people.
Like, that was a dick move, like you grew up in this area. You were like destined to play for this team. They drafted you. I'm not saying that the Cavs did right by him they didn't surround him with talent, and he definitely deserved to be able to win championships.
Yeah.
The way that he went about that. Now, in retrospect, he's 20, what was he, like 23, something like that when he did that.
Yes.
He's a young kid. He didn't go to college. So he's basically, I mean, look at it as if this would have been his senior year in college.
Right.
How many of us as seniors in college did stupid stuff?
Well, and also being advised by
and being advised by people, being, and ESPN, all ESPN saw in that was dollars. They're like, I mean, they dragged that on for what?
Yes, they did.
They made a whole hour long.
It was annoying.
They dragged on the coverage of it, but I mean, the show itself was like an hour-long show.
Yeah.
All for him to,
I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
I'm taking my talents to South Beach. I'm going to Miami, which was something that I think most people already saw as the foregone conclusion.
Right.
But the vitriol in Cleveland, people like burning jerseys in the streets, and he's persona non grata, but then they welcome him back.
Oh yeah,
they welcome him back.
He goes and learns how to do it, learns how to win the championship,
learns how to win a championship,
and he's like, "I'm coming back." I'm like, yes, welcome.
and they're like, well, sure, but then he left him again. But I think this time the way he went about it,
yeah,
it was more of a professional, like,
I
got to
also
think about my career, my future.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to LA. So I think a lot of athletes that people hate, it's because of stuff that happens off the field or off the court of play. And the ways that they handle certain things, the way they treat certain people, the way, if somebody has an interview on ESPN or Fox Sports or, whatever, HBO, the Greg Gumbel show, if they have an interview and they come across as just entitled or arrogant or whatever, I think that's going to engender hate. Yeah. And who are the people who are being interviewed on those shows? The people who are at the top of their game.
Fairly true. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're not pulling in the third string quarterback from the Seattle Seahawks to interview on, Greg Gumbel's Inside the NFL. Right. They're bringing in Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And when Tom Brady sits there and is like, yeah, I deserve to win 7 Super Bowls, and I'm the greatest thing that's ever walked the face of the earth. And yeah, I married Giselle and then I broke up with her, and there's douchey things like that. Like, dude, you married a friggin' Victoria's Secret model and that wasn't good enough for you? Like,
he chose the game. He's married to the game.
Sure. But I think the internet's amplified it, but I also think that the sports networks made it a thing.
Sports networks made hating the greats.
The sports network made hatred in general a thing.
Okay.
And then I think they amplified like hating on a great, made hating a great a thing because they glorified them so much.
Okay.
You watch ESPN's coverage of anything, and it's, this basketball player, he's the GOAT, whatever, and nothing he does is wrong.
Right.
Going back to my Jordan
flaws.
Yeah, going back to my Jordan thing, it's like they would be talking about Jordan as if he's, a deity.
Right.
And it's like he had 4 turnovers and, gave up a few buckets on defense. They're talking about the guy like he walks on water.
So it makes me
wonder, it makes me want to hate. It makes me want to hate him even more because those guys love him.
It makes me wonder if part of that then goes back to like our human, our brains are wired for, I mentioned like the hero's journey earlier. We were talking about the movies and stuff. So we're bringing it all back. Nice callback. So our brains are wired to want to see ourselves in the hero. And so when ESPN is basically like promoting like this player from person to deity, we lose that connection because we can't see ourselves in a god because we're not a god. We could see ourselves in a flawed human, and we could, like want to see ourselves in their success, but they also had to be capable of failure for us to be able to like see ourselves in their shoes or whatever. So it's kind of interesting. Like maybe that's part of it. What you're saying, the glorification of these players removes them from our ability to see ourselves in them and like vicariously live in their victories. And so now all that's left is like, well, we hate them. You know, they're to be defeated now. Now we need like, now they're Goliath and we need the David sort of thing. We want to see ourselves in the David, who's the underdog, the one who's supposed to lose, but comes and, you know, pulls it out in the end or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Kind of interesting.
I think too, you know, when you mentioned like now we can stream anything, you know, our team all the time, whatever. That I think that plays a part into it as well. Where you can now create your own narrative about your team and your players, and you know, you can start watching the game from a perspective of, you know, this guy, I don't like this guy, so now I'm going to look out for everything he does that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and really hone in on that.
So now you have like selection bias where
you're
looking specifically for their flaws and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, does it matter at the end of the day? No. Like, he's getting paid and you're not. So he don't care if you hate him.
Some athletes kind of thrive on that.
You know, some athletes do, I think, you know, I think, as from my perspective, like I've always hated teams and fan bases more than individual players. You know, there's a few individual players I've actually been like, man, I can't stand that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's Tom Brady, Alexander Ovechkin, and Michael Jordan. I'm just like, I don't like those guys.
Okay.
And everything else is like team related.
Yeah.
Like even Barry Bonds. Like, I never hated the guy. Weirdly, like,
yeah,
he played for the Giants for a good chunk of his career. He broke Babe Ruth's record, or Hank Aaron's record. You know, as a Giant, I never hated him. Like, even with the steroid thing, I was just like I try to find ways to defend Barry Bonds. Actually, like when he was playing, when people were, you know, I'm like, the dude's hit 757 home runs. He's done something right, you know, like, and so I would go back and I'm like looking at his statistics. I'm like, I mean, his numbers next to Hank Aaron's numbers. Did the steroids help? Maybe, but did they put up similar numbers throughout their career? Yeah. So, you know, it's like, would Barry Bonds without steroids have done what he did? Probably not. But at the same time, Major League Baseball didn't call him on it. You know, they went out of their way to make sure that his games, his at bats were on broadcast television.
Right.
You know, they made sure that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's Summer of Slams was front and center in the national consciousness. They didn't care that those two guys were doing it, you know, the wrong way.
Right.
They didn't care that, you know, they didn't care that neither of them were capable of doing that without the drugs that they were taking.
So
they cared about the cash.
Is that part of it then? You think that maybe because we've seen that now as a society, we've seen Lance Armstrong, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, like even Tom Brady with Spygate, Deflategate, like these different things, the Tuck Rule, whatever. Is it now sort of this jadedness of we've seen how the sausage is made, and so we kind of go, well, if somebody's winning, it means they're up to something. You know, there's more behind the scenes. They're cheating in some way. They're getting some kind of edge that isn't right. And so therefore, like, you know, they're worthy of hate now.
It could be, and I think, I
'Cause
mean,
nobody can be that dominant.
what you just brought up kind of ties into the wrestling analogy that we've been using this whole discussion, and how much, like, as a kid growing up, I watched wrestling a lot, you know, Saturday morning wrestling and the cartoons and all that. And we were all like in on the joke, you know,
Right.
we all knew that, you know, it was rigged or whatever, but we still wanted to believe that, you know, Hulk Hogan could do all of the things he did, you know, that there was no way that, you know, Hulk could ever lose because he was the all-American boy who took his vitamins and said his prayers, you know. But knowing that it was all rigged, you know, and then when other sports start getting more entertainment oriented, you know, because WWE never made any bones about it, you know, World Wrestling Federation and World Wrestling Entertainment, you know, they've always been like, we're sports entertainment,
Right.
with a heavy emphasis on the entertainment part.
Right.
Like the physical feat of picking another person up and slamming them into a mat is about as sport as we get. Like,
Yeah.
it's choreography. And I think when you see suspicious things happen in an NFL game, you know, this tuck rule all of a sudden that nobody's heard about in the 60 years of the, you know, 75 years of the sport. Nobody's ever heard of this rule. And all of a sudden it's getting applied in a championship game.
Right.
So benefit a team.
Right.
You know, I was one of those people. I was like, what the, you know,
Yeah.
this has to be some kind of fix. This has to be some kind of rigged thing.
Right.
You know, when you hear, you know, what happened in the NBA with Tim Donaghy, you know, the ref who was fixing games,
Yep.
you know, and now every time you watch a game, you're thinking like, is this guy going to blow the whistle on every, you know,
Well, and even let's bring up referees, the ref that got fired from the NHL a couple of seasons ago. I think it was like 2 seasons ago, because he was on a hot mic, caught on a hot mic, talking to another ref or somebody else, talking about like makeup calls. And everybody kind of knew this is a thing in hockey.
Yeah.
Like, you make a
in
call.
all sports.
It might be a bad call. Okay, we're going to make it up later in the game. We'll call something else that's, you know, sort of borderline, not really a penalty or whatever, but we'll make it up. And refs control the game that way. Yeah. Everybody talks about it. They control the game. And then in the NHL playoffs, it's Hudson Bay rules. Like, you're out there on your own.
Depending on the situation.
They're not calling penalties in the third period.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Florida Panthers and they're calling your penalties.
Or San Jose Sharks and you got a razor blade in your glove. No, but I wonder how much does that play into it? You know, we all grew up, we got jaded by wrestling because we saw, you know, like, okay, this is all fake, whatever.
But it's supposed to be fake.
It's supposed to be fake.
I think where it bothers people is in a sport that's supposed to be a fair, level playing field, and somebody's tipping the scale somewhere or other, whether it's cheating or refs kind of controlling the game or fixing the game, whatever. You know that there's sort of these inner workings that it's not a fair game. You're not watching what they're telling you you're watching. Yeah. And that's maybe where it comes into.
Yeah. And there's a lot of hate for guys like Jordan, you know, LeBron, Tom Brady. It's, you know, people are like, oh, well, he's always going to get that call, you know.
Right.
You know, Jordan could take 5 steps from half court without dribbling, and, you know, that's not a travel. You know, meanwhile, guy from the Mavericks who, you know, is coming off the bench takes 2.5 steps and he's getting the whistle.
Right.
You know, Jordan driving into the lane it's definitely a blocking foul.
Right.
Anybody else driving in the lane, it's charging.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Brady gets tackled, it's roughing the passer.
Right.
You know, Russell Wilson gets his head taken off, and well, he was outside the pocket.
Right.
You know, like
the pocket's over there. Yeah.
There's always these, you know, so, and I don't know, like, is that the refs fixing the game? Is that the league's fixing games? Or is it like they're enamored with this guy and they want to call, you know,
there's like a little preferential treatment kind
preferential
of thing.
treatment, you know,
bias, like, unconscious bias, maybe.
I feel like it's conscious at some points because, you know, like you can watch certain games and see the exact same penalty and it's not called both ways.
Yeah.
You know, baseball.
The one that drives me nuts the worst is goalie interference in the NHL.
Oh yeah.
And they'll review it. And you know the teams that they like and don't like because these reviews are so subjective. And there's obviously like, you know, specific rules and stuff like conditions and factors that are supposed to be taken into account, but it's all subjective at the end of the day. And
well,
the refs are like,
they take their time with certain, you know, we got to get microscopic, you know, we're zooming in on the crease itself, and, you know, on some of them, and then others, it's like 10 seconds after, goalie interference, you know, we got it.
Yeah.
You know, baseball is notorious, like the strike zone.
Right.
You know, that is ultimately subjective, and I don't fault an umpire necessarily unless it's massive discrepancies. You know, like you're seeing a ball,
that's wild.
You're seeing a ball come at you at 100 miles an hour, and the last time you see it is before it ends up in the glove. So you've got to kind of, I hate to say they do this, but they do. They kind of have to make up their mind whether it's a ball or a strike before it's even across the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how fast
they do.
the game is moving. They do.
Yeah.
They, you know.
It's like the science behind like the batter having to make a decision whether to and where to swing the bat as the ball is like leaving the pitcher's hand. Like it's like you literally do not have time to process because the ball is coming so fast, and at that distance you don't have time to like
you
the
have
neurons can't fire.
You have less than like 0.2 of a second, I think it is, depending on how fast the ball is. And that's why teams are looking for, you know, that's why the Astros did their thing with the pitch tipping,
sign stealing.
That's why the Red Sox, I mean, every team does it. It's to the extent they're willing to go to do it.
Right.
You know, not every team is setting up cameras and using watches and trash cans and whatever else to signal. But every team, you know, I mean, I guarantee every team knows when a pitcher is going to make a pickoff attempt versus when he's going to throw a pitch. And they know when they've got their base stealer on first. They know what to look for, and they know whether to tell him. Do you hate those guys? You know? Excuse me. I hate cheating.
Yeah.
But
if you're not cheating, you're not trying, you know?
I mean, everybody cheats in
I
sports.
Think, I think that's true.
I think it's about finding like where that line is to say like, okay, so this is against the rules, but like this is, you know, not against the rules, but definitely not in the spirit of fair play either.
I think every team and every athlete tries to find that edge. And I think that's part of what it is where when they go over that line, that's where the whole purpose of having a referee.
Yeah.
But then when you have the referees who are sometimes clearly in favor of one team or another, or one player or another, And that's where it comes down to, like, that's where we feel cheated out of the experience that we were sold, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you want to see, you want to see LeBron get beat legitimately.
Right.
You want to see LeBron win legitimately. Like,
right.
You don't want to see, LeBron travel into the lane, get a guy get a guy who stands in there and takes the charge, get called for blocking, and then LeBron's on the line to shoot for the game winner.
Right.
We don't want that.
Right. It feels cheap.
It feels cheap. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I think television has kind of ruined sports in a lot of ways. We could do a whole main event on that. But just to briefly, touch on it, it's like television has made sports too microscopic now. And in my opinion, it has made the in-person in-stadium experience less enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, we can do a whole main event on that.
Totally.
Just big opinions, but I don't know. Why do we hate the greats? Do you hate the greats? Did you hate Jordan before it was cool? Like I did? Do you just hate everybody so that you can say?
Did people hate Joe Namath back in the day? Like, I mean, is this an always kind of thing, or is this a new phenomenon? I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure people hated Joe Namath, especially when he guaranteed a victory in the Super Bowl. Like, I got to imagine, like, there's a certain group of people out there who's just like,
wow,
look
at
that guy.
asshole.
Like,
yeah, right.
He's showing up in a friggin' fur coat.
Just like a Harlem drug dealer.
Yeah.
Kingpin.
Looking like a pimp. Just, I guarantee we're going to win it. And then he does. But
then he does. Like, it's like, all right, well.
Hate that guy.
Okay. All right. I think it's probably time for our 2-minute warning. So you have a worst thing you ate this week?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, and it was in Chicago?
It was in Chicago. Yeah.
Oh boy. Did you get a hot dog out of a cart? They don't even have hot dog carts there.
No, there's not very many hot dog carts left.
Yeah.
No, the worst thing I ate was at the hotel we stayed at. So after the match, we get back to the hotel, and because we hadn't eaten anything at Soldier Field because the prices were insanely prohibitive.
Because you got to take out a personal loan.
I know, right? Like, max out my cards here. So we decided to try to get a bite at the hotel restaurant, which was equally ridiculously expensive for what it ended up being. But we went to the bar, and then you order food and they'll bring it over from the restaurant.
Okay.
So we got chicken fingers and fries, and some mozzarella sticks.
You can't go wrong with those things.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those things, except when I'm pretty sure they're like the TGI Fridays box ones you throw in the microwave. They just weren't that good. Like, you could tell they were not freshly breaded chicken fingers.
Come on.
The mozzarella sticks were so you know how when you bite into a mozzarella stick, you're supposed to, like, you bite into it and there's like this little bit of hollowness between the breading and the mozzarella, and then
the void.
And then when you go to pull it away from your mouth, there's like 18 inches of cheese.
Yep.
Now these things snapped right off. It was like eating string cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the balls to charge me $15 for it.
Wow. In a culinary city like Chicago, that's
I mean, I would expect that shit in Columbus.
Right.
Like we're not exactly known for a culinary scene, even though Guy Fieri does have a Flavortown restaurant here.
Ooh. I want to go down to Flavortown.
No, you don't. Guy Fieri's a.
Okay. Why do we hate the greats? Guy Fieri.
Is he a great? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's a
Triple
great.
D.
He's a great.
Guys,
host.
grocery games.
He's a great host.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd cook for shit.
Yeah.
What was the worst thing you ate?
Worst thing I ate. Man. You know what? I'm trying to think. I don't think I ate anything particularly bad. I really should keep better track. Today, I know I mentioned like these little tuna packages that I've been eating. Today I had this one. They've got these ones that like they've got old. I feel like people are probably gonna think I'm like sponsored by these people, but it's got like Old Bay seasoning, dude. It tasted real good just on its own. Just crack that sucker open, just eat it with a fork. It was real good. Yeah. I can't think of anything of like a worst thing that I ate.
Worst thing, yeah. We need to come up with something different, I guess. Because
I know.
We're not getting really worst foods.
No, I don't eat as badly as I thought that I did, which is good. That's a good. That's a good lesson to learn, I guess. Speaking of lessons, like that segue.
So I mean, we already did have a lesson earlier.
Okay.
And it's getting late, and I got to go shopping tomorrow for back to school, like all the kids do. Okay. Make sure you buy your school supplies. More of a life lesson.
Okay.
Excuse me. And for parents, because we encountered some parents who were out shopping and they've got the school supply list and they're like, do they really need that?
No, we just put it on the list.
No. We're like, you know what? I specifically requested that your child have pencils so that they could do their homework, or in-class work, but you know, it's optional this year.
It's fine.
But no, seriously, I think one thing that was kind of funny is that like some of these teachers in some of these districts are really concerned with the brand. So they've got like, buy the specific yellow and green box of crayons, which admittedly is the best box of crayons out there. But if all you can afford is the more colorful yellow and red box, if your kid's got crayons, I'll take them. We'll work with you. But this one lady, she's trying to buy scissors, and the teacher says, the list says sharpened scissors. Like they're all sharpened.
Aren't they all pre-sharpened?
Yeah, they're all sharpened.
Maybe they're meaning like don't bring safety scissors.
No. Yeah, like the plastic ones, I guess. Right. But you can't even find those, and I didn't see any when we were out this weekend.
And also, they'll still cut.
And they'll still cut. But yeah, she's like, I don't know where these are. I'm like, what is it? Okay, so what do they need? Sharpened scissors. I'm like, oh, they just need scissors. Like, how old is she? 5. She's going into kindergarten. Okay, get her these blunt tip ones. They'll cut her hair just as good as the plastic ones. Because you know she's coming home with a harecut the first day they whip out the scissors.
Yep.
Don't necessarily fret about the brands. We saw this one mom. She had her I think it was her kindergartner in the cart, and none of her other kids. So it's just this kindergartner is what we saw.
Okay.
And this is why people should be careful about, judging things without knowing the full story. So she's putting all these things up on the belt, and it's like school supplies. But I see this 5-year-old in the cart, and I'm like, the hell does a 5-year-old need a 3-ring binder, 6 3-prong folders, a pack of pens? These are like, big kid or teacher supply. I'm like, did this teacher put stuff on this list for herself? Like,
right.
This poor mom is out here buying supplies for the kid's teacher,
Stealing the supplies.
Yeah, and like I'm wanting to say something, and then the cashier tells her how much it is, and she's like, "Oh, that's pretty good for 3 kids." And I was like, "Oh man, good." Like I was seriously worried for this lady. Like she's getting scammed by this teacher. Like this teacher's filling up her supply closet. Like, yeah, your kindergartner totally needs a 3-ring binder and a hole punch and a stapler and like, so when you're ready to send yours to school,
yeah,
the brand doesn't matter except for
All
the
right.
crayons. Definitely.
Nah.
Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah.
hate all crayons.
Well,
I'm a
the
crayon
ones-
hater.
I'm not a huge fan either, but when you're in kindergarten, that's what you got to work with.
Yeah.
And the ones that are made by the Ohio-based company are not the best.
Is that okay? I don't know which one that is.
They know who they are.
They don't. You've been warned.
Get out of the crayon game. Stick with Etch-a-Sketches.
That'd be an awesome movie, like what was the one about the Pop-Tarts? Untoasted or something like that?
Oh man,
Unfrosted.
Unfrosted.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
That movie
It's like
was
a
so stupid. It was funny.
brand rivalry.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Well,
probably enough for the bonus situation now.
yeah.
All right,
Love you.
Yep. Bye.